Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to another virtual DC Flutter meetup. So we have today Yair Bar-On he's the CEO and co-founder of TestFairy. So Yair, I guess you can go ahead and take it away. Give us all the goodies. What does TestFairy have for Flutter?
Of course. So very excited to be here today. It's been a while since I've been to a real meetup to meet people in person, meet people by the coffee and have a beer and catch up. I hope that these times will be back very soon. I'm here to tell you about TestFairy. What I'm going to do is we're going to have that as a discussion. Please stop me with questions and stories and anything that you have in mind. There aren't too many people here, so we'll make it into a discussion. And I'll share with you things that we've seen with many of the developers who work with us. And we'll talk about mobile development and testing and CI/CD and Flutter and everything in between. When we talk and you're bored, open your LinkedIn app and send me a message and put your t-shirt size so we know who was in this event. And we'll start. So I have a deck here that I'll just show the first two slides, and then we'll go to a demo. We'll turn it into a technical discussion and less talk about features and boring stuff. And TestFairy is a platform that helps companies manage their mobile development lifecycle. The idea is to help a developer go through the steps and use one tool, one platform that has several tools around that solve many of the challenges we as mobile developers have in our daily work. So it starts with app distribution. Everybody knows TestFlight. Some use App Center, Google's tools, and many others. And TestFairy is TestFairy starts with a very powerful app distribution platform that allows you to do practically anything with your CI/CD. I'll show you how this is working. It's very good for the enterprise world because it can connect to your single sign-on. So we can get all the security rules from Okta or Ping or any SAML 2.0 platform your company is using, and make sure that the right people in the organization have access to the right apps and versions. And then we have crash reporting, which is kind of commodity. There are so many tools that do that. I will totally skip this part, but it exists. TestFairy provides you with the ability to report bugs from within your app. So you can shake your device, sketch on the screen, and hit the send button. That feedback will go directly to JIRA, even if your JIRA is on-prem. And I'll show you a few examples of companies that work with us that made that into art, and they get beautiful results. A few stories that can inspire you to do exactly the same with your teams. And all that comes with the session video recording that allows you to actually see what users do while using your app. That is a key component in a good beta testing process, where if you give your app to your fellow developers or QA or other company employees. I'll talk about Groupon. Groupon is a TestFairy customer. They're good friends of ours, and they test their apps on a continuous, endless testing cycles that all company employees participate in. The way they do it with all company employees is that they encourage users to use the mobile app that is on the beta right now. And how do they encourage them? They give them a small discount on the offers that they buy through the app. For example, if you'll buy the takeout your lunch through the app and you're a company employee, you'll get a 5% discount, or I don't know how much how good the discount is, but that encourages company employees to use the app, and then they help the R&D test it on a daily basis. So every day, thousands of people use the beta version of the app that was built last night. It's uploaded. Let me show you how this is done. It's uploaded on your CI, and then it's built on your CI, on your Jenkins or Circle CI or whichever, and then uploaded to TestFairy. Then we'll distribute it to users. We'll interact with your SAML 2.0 provider like Okta or others. And then when there's a crash or a feedback or a video recording, it will be uploaded to TestFairy, and we'll push it to JIRA, to Trello, to Slack, to whichever tool you might be using. I'll show you how this is done. At this point, let me jump to the demo, because the rest of these slides, I can send it to you by email and you will probably find it interesting, but let's see how that really works, because this is kind of a technical discussion. But anyway, any questions so far? If anybody has a question, raise your hand or shout.
Just to jump ahead, we'll kind of leave the Q&A to the very end, but I just want to interject one question. From all those features that you've shown us, would you say your powerhouse feature, your killer feature, is the video feedback, or is it something else?
That's a good question. If you would ask me that question a few years ago, that would be the answer, video recording. I think that the answer today would be the platform, as a platform. Because as a developer today, you're doing so many things and you're using so many tools. And sometimes the advantage is that you have one platform that is secure and compliant and allows you to run it in highly compliant environments, as people call them. And the fact that you can use everything in one dashboard is an advantage. If you need just one tool to integrate with JIRA and integrate with your CI and with your single sign-on and with Slack, and then you're all set, then from what we hear from people who look at the platform, they see that as an advantage, that they don't need to go through dozens of vendors to do little pieces in the puzzle.
Okay.
But yes, video is definitely a key component in the offering. So what you see here is a TestFairy session. You can see here a video that shows what the user did while using your app. You can see where they touched the screen and what was their exact experience. This video is translated to events. So on the right side, you can see touches, network calls, activities, fragments, view controls, button clicks, events. You can fully understand what happened here. Some people would rather watch a video to understand what the user did. Others would browse through the timeline and understand right away. Different people think differently, and those two views complete each other. So you know that at second 27, the user tapped on a button that says back. And by the way, this is identified automatically. There's no need for you to add an event. We will see how that is built in a minute. So the video is uploaded, the timeline is uploaded, logs are uploaded automatically from the device. We get the Logcat from Android and a slug from iOS. And we have remote logging capability for apps that are, again, highly compliant, that are not allowed to write logs, but developers would find those logs extremely useful. So we allow them to write logs into our logging interface, and that can be encrypted. So logs are encrypted with your private keys, and they can be visible only to you, not even to us. I'll show that in a minute. So this is how a session looks like. Now, if somebody wants to report a bug, all they need to do is shake their device, sketch on the screen, and point out what exactly bothers them. So what you can see here is how the user uses the app, and then they have something to report back. They'll circle out this button here and say, this is the button that I clicked on, just like that. I'll stop here and say something very important that is relevant for every tool that you'll use and for every environment that your organization chooses. It is critical to make it easy for users to report bugs. If you think that by allowing users to go to JIRA and open a ticket and work for 5 minutes or 15 minutes or no matter what, and explaining their journey and what they did and filling in just 7 fields of whatever they need to do, and then submit the bug, and then follow up with questions, that you're losing a lot of bugs and you're missing a lot of information that you could have got if you would make the bug reporting process easier. What you see here, let me show it again. The user shakes their device, sketch on the screen, and hits the send button. I'll show you how the JIRA ticket looks after doing that. They can sketch on the screen, point out whatever they do. They can add a few words there with their keyboard. And then this feedback turns into a JIRA issue that is a perfect JIRA issue. I'll show you why it's perfect, because it contains all the necessary information right away on the spot without having to add anything. You will have the screenshot that the user sketched on. You'll have the video showing what that user did. You'll have the timeline explaining step by step how to reproduce this bug with all the necessary information. So there's a network call here to this URL that took that much time with that many bytes. There was a 404 error. Here there's a stuck trace of a crash. Here is the log from the device. So every piece of information that we have, it will be posted here and make this bug report perfect. Not only that, every field that you have in JIRA can be automatically populated. So we know it's a Google Pixel 3 XL on Android 10 with that IP address and that username and that device and that business logic parameter that you have. So the combination of making it easy for users to report bugs will help you get more bugs. The fact that the combination of making it easy and integrating it to JIRA will have the whole team work faster. There will you won't have any need for a follow-up call or a discussion or an email correspondence with that person. Do you remember if that bug that you opened last Monday, was that here or there? We all asked those questions. And the less questions you have, the better for everybody, for the person who asked the question or for the person who gets them.
If I may interject one more question. So are those videos only a result of reported bugs by users, or do you have videos other than?
That's a great question. The answer is it depends on you. The TestFairy SDK needs to be initialized. Our recommendation is to initialize it when the app starts on beta, or if you want to use it in production, then the question is totally different. You don't want to record users automatically. You want to record them when they need to report a bug. So on beta, the recommendation would be to call TestFairy begin. That's the function that initializes the SDK right when the app starts. In beta, we would recommend to add a button to your help menu, call it report a bug. And then when you try to report a bug, the user can then choose to record a video. They'll see a disclaimer, you're about to be recorded for quality assurance purposes. Not every company wants to have that in production, but the answer is it's a programmer's choice.
So is Robert Henley asked, is there an option for bug reporting other than device motion?
Yes, you can. We have a very flexible API. So it comes out of the box, allowing you to shake your phone and have that to that gesture. However, you can add any gesture that you want or choose programmatically to put it on a button or on an event. You can automatically launch the feedback form programmatically if you see that the user had a problem, just ask him, would you like to report a bug? They'll say yes, and they'll fill in that bug report, or they'll say no. So yes, it's flexible. So what I showed you here is how a session looks like. and how users can report bugs from within the app, and how those bugs look on JIRA. Let's look at app distribution, which, as I started by saying, everybody knows Testflight, and Testflight has some limitations. And what TestFairy does is help you distribute your apps in a corporate environment and a complicated environment where you might have dozens of apps with dozens of variations of every app, branches, production staging, development branches, and you need to know how to find your artifacts. So first, the easiest way to distribute an app with TestFairy is to use the landing pages. Every app has a landing page that is created automatically that allows you to share your app in just one click. This is connected to your CI, so all your changelog from the CI can propagate through the system and get all the way to the landing pages and then to emails that are sent to users, and it will appear in every place that you want it to appear. The second option is to use what we call the tester dashboard. And the tester dashboard allows you to see all the apps that you have in your account. For every app, you can see all the versions in that account of that specific app. For every version, you can have tags and release notes, and this becomes your internal app store for the R&D. So you might have in a large team hundreds of binaries a day or a week or I don't know what, and if somebody needs one of those binaries, the chances that they'll find them are much higher if they are well organized. So what you can do is mark specific apps as your favorite apps, and then those favorite apps will always show on top. And with the right tags, you can filter show me only production or only staging for environment ABC. And then you can limit specific apps to be available only to R&D or R&D and QA, or R&D and QA and the team that is in Washington, DC. So the guys in California don't get confused by this version because it doesn't work with their staging environment. So you can create a very flexible rule that allows you to be more organized. So all the apps are here. And then in order to, by the way, what you see here is the tester dashboard, which is a different view of the same data set. So the developer dashboard allows you to see all the apps and all the versions and invite other people and see crashes and sessions and a lot of information that the developers need. Developers, QA, we call them all developers, but the admins, engineers, they need to see the whole picture. A tester, somebody that needs to download apps, all they need to do is download apps. So we try to make that information, that interface very easy for them. And just to be specific on the permissions, as I mentioned, you can limit a specific app to be allowed only for specific people. So for example, this app can now be downloaded only by dev, and that's it. If you're not dev, then you won't see this app and you won't get confused because it will not work on your device. It must be with that specific environment that is built here and it's configuring something and whatever. So it is very easy to control, show this app to dev and QA New York and QA San Francisco, and that's it. And it's that easy. Those groups can propagate from Okta or other tools, or they can be defined here locally. If you go to the testers dashboard, you can create groups and you can go to a specific group and say, this user, he's in Ford and BMW, let him be only on Ford. And this user is now blocked, so let's unblock him and unblock that specific user. And now that specific user is now in Ford and is not blocked anymore. Any questions about that? No. Great. At this point, what I want to show you is something that we've been working on lately that is very unique. And it's about automation. And I'll show you specifically how that works for Android and iOS, and then we can show that in Flutter as well, because Flutter was just released on this feature. One of the things we hear from teams again and again that what bothers them in life is automation. Automation takes a lot of time to code. It requires engineering skills. It breaks easily, and they needed tools that will make their life easier. So the first thing that we've added is an option to inspect elements of a video recording that we've created. So what you see here is you can navigate through the view tree and understand how the app is built. And you can understand how this Android app is built relatively with no effort. Then you can look at the elements. And again, this is an Android app. I'll show you how that works with Flutter in a minute. You can see for every element on this Android app, the view ID, class name, content description, XPath, and on iOS, you can also see the accessibility hint, accessibility label, all those things that allow you to understand how those elements are built. And then in just one click, you can create an Appium script that regenerates this session. So what you see here, if we're looking at this session, it's second number 2, the user clicked on open from gallery. And here, it's second number 2, the user clicked on open from gallery. So there's a code generation here that allows you to create your automation. Now, if you ask me what would be the typical usage for this capability at the moment, we believe that it will get much better. For now, what we recommend, and we see that developers like to do, is take this code and change it and use it as a template for their automation. Down the road, we believe that this will be a perfect script that you can take and use it as is in your automation suite. But for now, what we recommend is take that, use it as a template. It solves so many questions that you might need to answer when you write the automation. The IDs of every element on your code, the timestamps of the timeframes of every gesture, and then take that and use it as a basis for your code. Now, I promised that I'll show you how this works in Flutter. So this is a Flutter session that I recorded just before this call. And what you see here is that the elements are identified and we can see the key for, oh, that's not on the right server, just a second. Yeah.
Question for you with regards to the automated test script generation. Something there, are the templates for that something that the developer user could control, so that if you have, say, a default setup and preamble to your tests that you use in your test suite, you'd be able to modify the template so it would apply
Yes.
that?
This is in the short-term roadmap. It will be ready very soon, but this is a request we got from a few developers working on the system.
Awesome, cool.
Definitely. So what you see here is that this back button, or this add to bag, oh, that's interesting. Add to bag, we get accessibility identifier, but on back, we get a key. That's interesting. That's a bug. Okay. So you see that we have the key, the element in the widget, and just one click, we can create not an Appium script, but a Flutter script. So this is a Flutter script that regenerates this session step by step. So the user clicked on fried egg and then add to bag and then back. If we'll go back to this session here, we see that, where was that? Which second was it? It was on second, on fried egg, second number 4. So it's fried egg, and then add to bag, and then back. So this is a script that will regenerate this session. Now, what we now look at, based on feedback we got from developers we spoke to, as whether they want to run it as is on their favorite cloud provider. So there will be an option to run that directly from here on a click of a button. Or another option would be to just take this code and push it to your GitHub repo and add it to your testing repository and allow you to change that later. So the code is built in a way that is friendly, allowing you to easily change the code. The readability is very important here. If we'll write code that is not fun to work with, nobody will use it. So it's important to make it beautiful, and beautiful code makes developers happy. So this is where it's going. It's still in its early stages, but it will definitely be something meaningful in our product very soon. Any questions about that? So I'll just finish with a few words about our Flutter integration. What you see here is at docs.testfairy.com. And under platforms, you can see Flutter, and installing or using the TestFairy SDK is very, very, very easy. You can install it either for Dart 1 or for Dart 2. It will work very good. We have integration both with Dart 1 and with Dart 2. They're parallel releases for null safety reasons and others, things that will be solved hopefully in the near future. Hopefully everybody will switch to Dart 2, and then there won't be issues around that. Using TestFairy with Flutter is super easy, and it can help you a lot. There's one thing that I want to talk about again, will take just 1 minute, and that's the story of Groupon, of how they use it. And I think that is something that every company must do. With whichever tools you use, it will work. The idea of using internal beta, dog food, as many companies call it, dog food, cat food, bird food, monkey food, we heard all terms so far. And the main thing that management needs to think about is that we have a free resource here, that is company employees, that by definition, they want the company to succeed, and they will help the R&D test their app. So if you're working in a bank or in a pizza network or in whichever company you work for, and you have an app that company employees can use, let them use it. They will report bugs. Let them use the beta version that saves logs and report back and allows them to report bugs and do things. And those people will find the next $1 million bug, because those bugs are there. And we know that we ship apps with problems. Why don't we let the company employees, the people who are our friends by definition, to report about those bugs and help us find them? And if they find them, we'll give them a t-shirt or coffee, or just mention their name in the company newsletter or on the Slack channel. Say, John helped us to find $1 million bug. Thank you so much, John. And use that resource. Now, if you use that resource, you can use it with tools like the ones we mentioned here that will allow you to make it easy and effective, allow people to install their apps in a secure way, and allow you to understand where the problems are and fix them faster. That's all I had to say for this afternoon. I'll be happy to answer any question.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, how does your user and access management to the platform work?
When you say user, you mean the end user that installs the mobile app, or the developers?
No, the developers who have access to the platform. or managing all the binaries and the you know,
So
who's in charge of all the screens that you were just showing us?
So the developers access the system in a few ways. They either log into the dashboard and then they see the screen that you see here and decide what they want to do manually, or more frequently, they use the API. When they use the API, they can upload apps with Gradle or Fastlane, iOS or Android, or with the upload API from Jenkins or from their favorite CI. And then when they upload the apps programmatically, they will also include in the upload instructions what to do with the app when it's uploaded, whether it should be deployed automatically to a specific user group or other things. So usually the typical team will connect their CI and automatically deploy every branch, every version, every group of apps by a specific set of rules so that they're well organized and they know how to find those boundaries. Does this answer the question?
Yeah.
Hey,
Also the pricing, I was gonna, the inevitable question, right? How does the pricing work?
Pricing, let's keep that as free for this call, and we can talk pricing about pricing as in another opportunity. But as we promised, we'll provide every attendee of this meeting with a free account for 3 months, so you can play with the system, see that it works.
So I had a quick question. I kind of wondered, like, I guess behind the scenes, how does TestFairy kind of capture these inputs? Because like typically, if you wanted to capture analytics in your app, you might have to, once you connect your SDK, you might have to set up your tags, kind of similar like accessibility, in a sense where you want to capture what elements that you want to record. Now, from like kind of how you're implementing it with Flutter, when you just add your package, how does it know what is it syncing with to kind of get this data from your app?
So that's one of the beauties of our SDK is that it doesn't require any special efforts when integrating your app. If you would provide developers with a tool that takes just a couple of days to integrate, the conversion rate would be probably 0. It's not going to happen. However, if you're going to add a tool that for integrating requires 1 line of code, let me show you how the Android integration looks like. The Android integration is practically 1 line of code called TestFairy begin, and that's it. Right. You'll just need to add that to your Gradle and call TestFairy begin. With the iOS, it's pretty similar. With Flutter, it is pretty similar. It's very easy. We're trying to there's a Flutter page.
Right. I mean, it might be some IP attached to how you guys are doing it, but I'm just intrigued to think about what are you looking at to capture these inputs? Whereas like as a developer, I don't have to capture or tag any of my elements that I want to kind of record.
So I don't have an answer for that immediately, but I can get back to you with an answer. Okay. What I can tell you is that we're thinking now, considering seriously, to open source our SDK. So the reason I don't have an answer is not because I don't want to tell you, it's because I don't know. And I'll have to ask
that's fair.
People who are smarter than me in the team and answer that.
Yeah,
but
it's a good thing is what I'm kind of suggesting, because like it takes a lot of the burden from the developer, to whereas though I can just put this in 1 line and capture all these metadata points that we want to capture without having to go in and kind of setting up a structure of how we want to capture this information that's digestible for our dashboards. But it's really cool.
Absolutely. And not only that, the problems that you'll probably have tomorrow are in places that you didn't expect. Right. If you know that you're trying to debug this page or this dialogue or this screen, you'll put hooks on every bit and byte on that screen and you'll find it. Right. But the problems that you're facing, the bugs that you fixed this week, are in places that you didn't expect. and it makes no sense to require to add dozens of hooks in so many places, and then it will happen only in the place that you didn't add that.
No, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
So there's one more question in the chat box. It says, beyond in-house employee testing, do you have any integration with third-party QA firms, such as Applause, usertesting.com, etc.?
So many of the companies we work with have worked with the companies that you mentioned. So we don't have an active relationship with any of them, but we know for a fact that many of the developers who work with TestFairy work with those companies, and then they use us to make their services better. For the simple reason that if you'll send an app to be tested in a crowdsourced company, you still need to understand what that user did before the crash. If you'll have that session recorded, you have the answers. Now, if you have that session recorded and allow that user to report the bug with the form that you like the most, it will make your life easier. We do work with a company called Centercode, based just out of Los Angeles, and with them we have a good relationship, and we work together on a few projects. So check them out if that's interesting. But yeah, we've seen quite a few companies out there, and they all do a good job.
Okay, so one more question from Robert again. He says, keeping the question away from large-scale pricing, does TestFairy offer any open source project or single developer pricing?
Yes, we do have what we call a startup discount. We're now working on changing our pricing, so it will be available next week with a low tier pricing, something that is, I don't want to mention specific prices, but something that will be very similar to other tools that offer startup prices. So the answer is yes, and
so check back on the website. Check back on the website for updates.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Give me a few days. It will be updated.
Yeah. Right. So Espen asks, thank you for a great presentation. How does TestFairy deal with privacy regulations in different states, California, Canada, Europe, GDPR?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
There's
he says, let me finish the question. He says, do I need to set up a consent form? Do we risk giving away any user data from our users to you or others by using TestFairy?
That's a great question. There's one thing I didn't talk about is security, and I'll discuss that, and then we'll talk about GDPR and CCPA and all those wonderful things that nobody really likes. Security-wise, one thing that you can do with TestFairy is, by the way, it's all at docs.testfairy.com. Under security, there's this document. So one thing that you can do with TestFairy is hide specific areas in the field that you don't want to record. Something that you don't want to record is something that your developers shouldn't see, product managers, nobody in the company should see this credit card number because it's not interesting. I'm testing this app and I've sent it to my fellow employees to try and buy this, whatever they want to buy. I don't want to record credit card numbers. So if you call hide view, those views will be blacked out. That's one important thing. Another important thing is end-to-end encryption. When you hide those views, you still have the recording. If you want the whole recording to be hidden, you can hide, you can encrypt all the sessions. What you do is create a public key and a private key with OpenSSL, standard tools that we all have access to. And then when you initialize the SDK, you initialize it with your public key, and the private key stays with you. You enter it when you log into the service, it stays on your local Chrome storage, and it's not uploaded to the server. We will never ask for a private key from a customer. So using the public key and the private key, the whole session is encrypted end to end. What that allows you to do is use the service with more confidence that nobody can see your data. Nobody can see your data if it's a game that you're working on and you don't want anybody to see what's in that game, or if it's a finance app that might have sensitive information that nobody should see. So that's recommended.
Even as a platform owner, you won't be able to see it because you don't have the private key.
Exactly. Us as a cloud provider, I don't want to see your data. So technically, if you'll have a problem, what I'll see is I'll be able to see if I look at the data, and I can look at the data. I will not. I'll see scrambled sessions with bricks that are not visible. It's encrypted with your key.
Yep.
So that's two things. Now, regarding GDPR and CCPA and others, I don't want to take that into a legal discussion. I want to talk about the technical aspects of legal subjects that can be explained by lawyers. Some of those regulations, and I'm very specific. I don't want to give any legal advice to anybody ever in my life. Some of those regulations require you to first notify the user what's happening. Second, allow users to see what's happening. And third, allow users to opt out. And there are a few others. And I specifically say some of those regulations just so nobody can then say, but you said that CCPA does this and that. I don't want to talk about it. Knowing what's happening, that's in your hands. Put it in your terms of service, show a disclaimer, decide what you want to do. If that's a beta app with company employees, they're working in your company. So they should be okay with things that happen in your company. And then again, you must work according to your company's guidelines that should be clear on what's happening with employee information. So make sure that the person who is using an app knows what's happening. If it's in beta and you're recording right away, when they join the beta, let them know that they joined the beta and get their acceptance. Now, if they're working in your company, they already agreed, or they must agree in another way, but that's for you. If you're using TestFairy in production, that's a different story. And our recommendation would be to get the user consent when they report a bug. They should see a disclaimer. You're about to be recorded for quality assurance purposes. Are you okay with that? They'll say yes, they'll be recorded. And then they can be recorded. You can limit the recording for 30 seconds and display a blinking red dot. It comes out of the box with the SDK to show progress and what we call visual indication that recording is taking place. And while doing that, the best recommendation would be to notify the user by email or by message that a recording has been taking place. They can see it here if they want, and they can get a link, and they can request to delete it if they want to delete it. So allowing users to delete their recordings is also very simple. There is a feature for that in TestFairy. So I hope that this answers the question, and I try to speak about it technically without sounding like a lawyer.
Without getting in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is
No,
life.
good.
I mean, we must work by the rules, and we must follow the guidelines, and yeah, this is life.
Yep. So yeah, people are thinking on the chat. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I got another question, not to bombard you with questions, but another thing that came to my mind, this is going back to the bug process that you described, where for beta and production, the user has the ability to kind of quickly shake their app to kind of record these sessions. So I wonder, and I know that there's also a production application for it too. So I wonder, is there any restrictions or limitations when it comes to how much a person could submit? Because I know that if you have your pipeline and your webhook set up to where it creates JIRA tickets and things, and maybe you have a scaled platform, can that is there like some I guess being overloaded with all these bug requests? Does that play a factor into it? Or because I know sometimes you might want to only some processes may be a little daunting because you mainly want to capture bigger bugs and stuff like that. But like, is there any limitation to how many times a user can submit this?
So that's a great question, and it depends on the scale of your project. If you will send your app to 200 people and ask them to report the bug, that's not a problem. If you'll
Right.
send your app to 20 million people and encourage them to report bugs, this is a problem.
Right.
So what some companies do is present the option to report a bug only to the population they want to get bugs from. And that's a product question that can be up to you. Or if you want to encourage 20 million to report bugs, you better be ready to get the amount of data that you can process. So it's a chicken and an egg, or what are you trying to achieve? Now, again, back to the product question, if you'll put the button in one place or in another place, you'll make it more complicated to report bugs. You've probably seen many SaaS platforms that require you to work hard in order to send a ticket to support.
Yeah.
You click on the help menu, then you have answers to frequent questions, then you have more answers, then you have more answers, and then they say, if you didn't find the answer here, click here, and then you get more answers, and then at the bottom, you get to ask a question. So that's to take it to the extreme. In a consumer app, it must be easier. So the answer to your question, I don't know, but it's probably a product question of what are we trying to achieve, how we're going to answer to those users, and what's the relevant scale for our side to address the scale of our customers.
Okay. I mean, because I wonder, like, if you guys had any future thoughts about that, like, does it behind the scenes consolidate similar bugs together to kind of make it more digestible, or like even in that does case, so let's say you did have 1,000 beta users, that still is a lot as far as like, let's say the app isn't really full scale, so a lot of the bugs might be similar. Like, does it help
there? I understand the question. We have an API that allows you to get to the raw data of all the bugs, and then you can aggregate them. We have 2 customers who use that API with machine learning algorithms that try to understand if thousands of people now reported that they cannot log in, and they will understand that all those problems are one problem. So we have an API that allows you to process that information. However, we don't do that on our side. As you saw, we have like 20 products in the platform.
Right.
We didn't have room for another one.
Right.
But,
I mean, that'd be a cool idea for you to be able to aggregate that data and then define the level of severity in these bugs beforehand to kind of help you on the developer side kind of prioritize what's important.
I will say that we would rather partner with teams that know how to do exactly that and provide them with the APIs that allow them to easily process the information, because there's no limit for what you would do with analyzing text. You can analyze the text and get the priorities and then raise some alerts or some, for example, if somebody cannot buy with your shopping cart shopping app and there's a bug and everybody sees it, this specific error, everybody should wake up in the middle of the night.
Exactly, right? Like, you might send a webhook that says an alert, we have a high severity bug that happened,
And if somebody cannot share on Facebook the picture on that free app for whatever, that's very important. So it's available in the API, and we would love teams to use the API and take it from there.
Right. So I mean, I guess once you make it more open source, I guess that'll kind of invite more developers to kind of bring these ideas up to the forefront.
Yes, we saw lots of other projects that went open source that worked great with the community, because people have great ideas, and when they see code, they try it themselves and they contribute. And not only that, transparency is very important. You get developers to trust you more when they see that you have nothing to hide. And we're going to do that in the coming future.
That's wonderful. I love it. It's great. It seems very useful. It has a lot of use cases that are very helpful, especially like in the startup realm for sure.
Absolutely. I think that our hour is just about to end. So
yeah, we're at the end of the hour. So if unless there's any burning questions from anyone, sorry.
Don't forget to drop me a message on LinkedIn and put your email address and your t-shirt size, and we'll send you a link to get your free t-shirt of TestFairy. And that's only for the guys who came to this call. Should
they reach out to you for the promo, or should I do an email?
No, for the promo, please sign up on to TestFairy. Go to testfairy.com and just sign up, and send us the promo code with the intro button at the bottom right. There's a blue bubble. Click on it, say hi, and just send this code that we'll send after the call, and you'll get a free code for 3 months.
I will send them the promo code in that case.
Absolutely.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Yair. Thank you for a great session. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you very much, guys.
So we'll see you at the next meetup.
Thanks a lot.
I just want to mention one thing. Yes, thanks for the presentation. That was wonderful. In a few days, we'll post the recording of this session on YouTube, and I put the link to our YouTube channel in the chat. So if you check that out, and also if you want to check out our other meetups or some of the other videos, you can go to our devcommunity.org site and check us out there. So,
and don't forget the Flutter Engage 3.3, March 3rd, 2021. Where actually the event details are on the website as of yesterday. So if you can go on the event on the website, the Flutter Engage website, you should be able to see the program schedule over there. They published it yesterday. So that's a quick plug on that.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.